Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Your Therapist Needs Therapy. Only a few more episodes left of 2025. Whenever a podcaster is not feeling scheduling guests, we do a Q&A question. A Q&A question. It's the end of the year, folks. We do a questions and answers episode. Always fun. Honestly, this is my ideal podcast. If I could do like a live call-in show, I would do that because that's what I'm actually trying to do, which is help people with their circumstantial, context-based questions. As much as I like psychoeducation and like riffing and normalizing mental health, Q&A is kind of my bread and butter because that's sort of what a live therapy session is. So we've got 20-ish questions we've collected from various interwebs interactions, mostly holiday themed. I think all holiday themed. So let's hop to it. Hooray. My family acts like any boundary is, quote unquote, a disrespect. How do I not crumble under the guilt? This is a great question. Very common experience. The guilt is the point. Oftentimes, whoever in a family system is the first person to set boundaries or the person to even identify that boundaries need to exist where they do not is identified as the problem. And so they're not guilting you for setting the boundary, or they're not guilting you over the boundary that you're trying to set. They're guilting you for having boundaries at all, which is generally a sign of a family that has enmeshed boundaries, or they're just enmeshed, which means they're up in each other's business too much. The boundaries are messy because they're too involved. And so that creates its own sort of unique family issue. Holidays bring out a lot of this stuff. I think I'll talk about it later, looking ahead at one of the other questions. The idea of family of origin gatherings, of going to see extended family, getting together with all your siblings, etc. Think in terms of a family system. That's how we talk about it in this field, is an ecosystem. And when one member of an ecosystem leaves the ecosystem remains largely intact. And so when that one member comes back to the original ecosystem, that ecosystem still exists predominantly the way it did. And so there's a lot of unspoken pressure just in sort of human social interaction and parental, familial, intergenerational dynamics that make you want to act a certain way and fill a certain role. And that can be really hard, and wanting to do something different or set a boundary for some type of different interaction means that the other members of the ecosystem would need to look at their actions. And that's something that just a lot of people don't want to do. It's uncomfortable. It's unpleasant. They're happy with their delusional approach to it. Whatever it is, again, the guilt is their point. Guilt is not a great motivator. It is. Guilt is a great motivator. Guilt is a poor decision maker. And so looking in terms of like, yeah, what do you want to do? What are you feeling guilty about? Guilt as a sign of like, I've done something against my ethics might be helpful. But this sounds like you're doing something against somebody else's expectations, and we can't be responsible for other people's expectations. We can only be responsible for our own. And to reduce some of that guilt is going to be setting your own intentions. What do I want to get out of this holiday? What do I want to get out of this family interaction? And those are the parts that I'm going to hold space for. That's where I'm going to put energy towards. And the rest is extra, or may not need to happen, or maybe something we're specifically working to avoid. And that's okay, right? Your family will be happy to get some version of you, and the families that aren't, the families that are going to complain, will complain no matter what, even if you give them everything they ask for. If a family thrives on drama, if a family has poor boundaries, they're going to make drama anyways, which is why we do not set our expectations on other people's expectations. But yeah, I mean, as singular, any boundary, any expectation is disrespectful, is in enmeshed family. We're not real interested in participating in those family dynamics. Set your own boundaries. Make sure you understand that boundaries are for you, not for other people. So your boundary is, what will I do when other people behave a way that I don't want them to? We can't control other people. We just control ourselves. Oftentimes, the boundary is going to be time based. How long are you staying? How are you interacting with something that you don't want to be interacting with? Great, great question. Very common. I talk about this a lot in the month of November and December in my practice. Question 2 has to do with religious trauma, one of my specialties. How do I politely tell my evangelical relatives I'm not sending my kids to church with them? Just like that. That's lovely wording already. Yeah, no, I'm not going to send my kids to church with you. No, we don't go to church. We don't think it's developmentally appropriate to tell a 4-year-old that they're going to hell. Uh, that is technically polite, although might start some drama. Uh, yeah, no, we're not going to go to church. Nah, we don't send our kids to church. We're not interested in exposing them to that. We're not comfortable with that. Yada yada yada. Um, I don't. Your explanation is unnecessary. The fact that that is not how you want to parent your child is enough, and people will get on board and do that, or they don't get access to your kid. And like, I don't know. That's polite, right? Like, similar. This riffs off of sort of the first question here. Is like, having a boundary is not disrespectful. Having standards or expectations for how you want to raise your kid. If you want to defend it, which again, I don't think you have to. I do not think you need to justify saying no to something. You can just say no. But if you want to justify it, I mean, developmentally speaking, e- evangelical, evangelical is going to have some version of hell and internal punishment for a finite crime, not a system of morality. Um, Jesus didn't exist. The Bible's written out of order. Again, I can give you the whole deconstruction thing, but I think it's not developmentally appropriate is a good science-backed one that your evangelical family won't understand. So again, like I think providing an explanation opens more drama than just being short and sweet. You asked polite. Does it matter? I think it just needs to be firm without being mean. And they're not gonna understand your explanation because that sounds like they have a different belief system than yours. But the profession that is most likely to abuse a child is a religious leader. It's not safe to go to church. Um, I'm sort of on the side of things, and I think this isn't like angsty of me. I think the longer I do this work, the more I see religion is just straight up harmful. Like this is not the exception. The system is designed to harm people, and so there isn't a safe or healthy way to engage with it. I get that there are people out there who have maintained their faith, who have some sort of personal relationship with some sort of personal version of their god, and they find the organization around it to be helpful. I just don't think it is. I think data and statistics would point to religion, organized religion, as a harmful thing, and especially evangelicalism in America. Like, there's a pastor or youth minister or teacher at a religious school or Sunday school teacher or whatever. Religious leaders are most likely to harm children, and there's one arrested pretty much every single day. So yeah, no, if your kid isn't there, normally they don't need to go just because it's a Christian rescreen of a pagan holiday. Again, I think that will upset your family. So I would just say, no, we don't send them to church. So we're not going to send them to church with you. They don't go to church with us. They're not going to go with you. We're not interested in that this holiday season. No thanks. What do I do when my family uses Jesus wants us all together as a weapon to force holiday attendance? Jesus also wants you to give all your money away to the poor. Are we doing that? Jesus wants you to clothe the unclothed, house the unhomed, and welcome the alien into your house. Are we doing that? Probably not. Jesus isn't real. Um, Give them the recently released Richard Carrier book, which is an updated take on the academia surrounding whether or not Jesus existed as a historical person, which academic current consensus is, I wouldn't say consensus, current good scholarship is no, he didn't. He is a myth. Um, and what's written in the Gospels is taking Paul's writings and adding a myth to it. And Paul's pretty in the Bible that you have in your house, a New Testament NIV or whatever you've got lying around. Paul says he didn't meet Jesus. He didn't talk to anybody who met Jesus. It's all dreams and visions. So Jesus wants us all together. Okay. Yola Pookie wants to kidnap the naughty kids in Finland. Are we doing that? The Coca-Cola bears want a can opener. I don't know. Like Hansel and Gretel want to see their parents again. Mythical figures don't get to dictate our lives. Spider-Man wants rent control and a job that will pay well beyond newspaper photographer. What are we doing? That's not a reason. Jesus wants us all together. Okay? What a weird thing. My dad says my queerness is a phase every holiday. How do I not lose my shit? I don't. Why not lose your shit? That sounds reasonable. I think this scales. There's a spectrum, obviously. There's because I know some people in my age range who are queer whose parents still say some like unhinged things, and they've been with their partner for like over a decade and are raising kids together. Like their parents don't mean it. They're just so old and just can't wrap their heads around like you'll meet a nice boy someday. Like they don't. So I think there's that version that is like, I'm not saying it's not harmful. I'm saying it's not malicious and it's misguided at best. And again, like we can polite. I don't even want to use polite. I'm just using that because an earlier question used the word polite. We can firmly, without being explosive, say, you can stop saying that. We've been together for however long, right? Um, you can say things like, your straightness is a phase. I'm excited for when you get to come out. You know, I don't know. Give to them polysecure or the ethical slut, or I don't know how to unfuck your kink as a stocking stuffer. Those are some good books. Actually, you know what? This is an honest. Those are all good books. That's a tongue-in-cheek gift, but like, Forced Euphoria has been on my like. Everybody should read it. I loved it. It's really well written, and yeah, like if you want to engage but not lose your shit, give them a book that says like being straight and monogamous is the quirk of human nature. That's not a default in any form of biology. So again, if they're not on board and they're pushing you to pretend that their social construct is the way to live your life, I think you can lose your shit. You could just not engage. I think you have to take into account like how malicious versus or antagonistic this is versus misguided. Are they open to engaging? Is there some willingness to learn? Is it old-timey bigotry? Is it Nana who's got no functional memory and like we're not gonna change anything because her short-term memory is shot? Like I don't know. It's contextual. That's why therapy exists, because we can't just give blanket responses to a question like this. But like certainly somebody dismissing your identity as invalid is a reason to lose your shit or just to not go. Why do holidays make me feel like I'm 12? I knew this question was coming up. Why do holidays make me feel like I'm 12 years old again and powerless? Because your family system is an ecosystem. And when a singular entity leaves an ecosystem and then comes back, the ecosystem exerts pressure on that singular entity to fall in line with the system. And that's just like dynamics. It's how we see living creatures interact with each other. So that pressure exists. If you're the oldest, you're placed in that oldest role. If you're the youngest, that middle child, that. So some of it might be birth order, some of it might be gender norms that aren't relevant to where you're at in your development as an adult. It might be, I don't know, Lots of weird things that can get exerted here. It might be praying before a meal, it might be whatever. Again, like, you are an adult, and your adult fully developed brain can make a full wise mind decision whether you want to participate in that. um I do this stuff professionally, and I talk about holiday boundaries for like 2 months every single year, because it's what comes up in people's lives. And I can do this pretty well for like 24-ish hours. And I'm not saying that needs to be your goal, and I'm not saying you can't go longer. I'm merely saying, as somebody who does this professionally and knows a lot about it, it's still difficult to not do that. In my family, I'm the baby of the family. I'm the joker in a lot of ways. And my family's very sarcastic. And so I tend to try and be a good communicator, and I don't find sarcasm to be a good route for that too often. And then when I'm around my family, especially my siblings, because I have real relationships with some of my family members and very superficial relationships with other family members, that sarcasm is very comfortable to fall back into. So again, just normalizing that this is a thing. You cannot do it. I would say buddy system makes it easier, whether that's other adult siblings who are aware of these dynamics and don't want to participate, or that's a partner or a spouse or your hometown best friend from ages ago. That might make it worse. I don't know. Because again, depending on how people fit into the ecosystem, but anybody who can disrupt the ecosystem with you, if we're swimming upstream, having other people going with us makes that a little easier and disrupts that flow of energy. So that's why. And like, again, some of that is the way your parents' house smells. Maybe you're staying over. This is a Midwestern thing, but maybe you're sleeping in town, and so you're in your old bedroom again. Like, there could be a lot of just literal triggers on making you feel 12, because there are things your brain experienced when you're 12. And our brain does experience the passage of time, but our brain is like seasonal. So winter means something to our brain. December 22nd doesn't mean anything to our brain. Our brain doesn't think in calendar terms, it thinks in sort of seasonal things. So it's winter and it's your bedroom, and you remember this thing happening when you were 12 because it's snow and cold and smell of cookies and blah 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 blah. Like, there's a lot of sensory input that may make you feel that way as well. So it's ecosystem, it's how family systems operate, but it's also some of that physical triggers, some of that stimuli from when you were probably that age. Great question. What's a good way to exit a conversation, a convo? Internet slang, I'm hip. What's a good way to exit a convo with a politically unhinged uncle who's causing a scene? Uh, I'm a fan of short and sweet in a lot of ways. I really like, oh, yuck. Ugh, gross. Yikes, what a weird thing to say out loud. That's sounds like a thing you posted honestly on the internet, not something you say out loud to people you supposedly love. Again, those are getting longer. I really like, oh, yuck, or ew. Ugh, what a weird thing to say out loud. What an odd thing to be comfortable saying to a relative. I'm a fan of bringing back public shaming for things that are shameful, like racism, bigotry. Um, Pretty big fan of calling out people who are not qualified to have the opinions they have, presenting them as facts. So, you know, contextually, that probably all matters for your situation. But ew, yuck is fine. A little bit longer. Ugh, what an odd thing to say out loud. And then just walk away. Some of the like vitriol and I would say trolling behavior that is normalized on the internet and ideally falls flat and is called out and or shamed in um, real life is because you can just leave, right? Trolling behavior wants interaction. It wants to feed off of something. And so we can just kill that by not giving it any fuel. So I just walk away. I've talked a lot about this and used this example in other places, but my grandpa, who I'm fairly certain is undiagnosed on the spectrum somewhere, but he would just be gone for hours. And early in my life, probably to go smoke, but like he'd just wander outside, go outside. And then when we found him, he'd be outside and say he was checking the meter gas meters outside the house. And it was like an unhinged, very unreasonable thing for how long he would be gone for. And like just nobody ever called him on it. And so I love that example. It's just like you can just give any reason, excuse, and it doesn't need to be like accurate or reasonable. And oftentimes, if you have a family who is non confrontational enough, that's going to work. But you don't owe anyone an explanation. Quick and easy ones: go excuse yourselves, go to the bathroom, go check in what the kids are doing, go see what the dog is up to, yada yada yada. What's in your area? What's a reasonable excuse in your environment that you can use? Then just use it. Just use your escape hatch. Figure out what they are. Big fan of dogs and pets in general, and children, and the weird neighbor. Whatever. Go check the meter. It doesn't need to be a good excuse. Is it okay to leave early from gatherings, even if everyone makes it a whole thing? Obviously, yes. Big fan of that. I call it the holiday escape hatch. It is a great idea. Plan it out ahead of time before your trip, what's going to be available to you. Make plans to use it, and then use it freely and wonderfully. Um, yeah, this is what boundaries work is. Enforcing your boundary is where's your time and energy going. I always regress around my siblings. How do I stay my adult self? Got some themes in these questions. Um, when I'm gathering them from different sources, that's probably because my brain is like, what a good question, because I had some version of it already. Yeah, I feel like I've answered this. Uh, Also, maybe the piece of this I didn't get into, but I hinted at is like you can form new, different formations of adult relationships with your siblings. The family member I get along with the most is my brother, and we're 8 years apart, and it was probably easiest for us to recalibrate our relationship as adults because our age gap was so big growing up. The relationship an 18-year-old older brother has with his 10-year-old brother is very protective and different than like what me coming out of college was like. So my brother and I had an easy time with that. We had a good relationship growing up. Always we've gotten along, and yeah, but like that's possible. It's work, it's effort. I'm in the midst of some version of attempting that with one of my siblings. I have one sibling who I don't talk to. So, it's going to be different with different siblings. I think different family members are more amenable to that. Different family members are willing to put in the time and energy. Sometimes it is just logistical, whether there's time and energy for that. So, and you don't have to. I'm just putting that out there that helps if you don't want to regress and you don't want to play your childhood role to invest in like building a new role. The more people within a system who are willing to change that ecosystem, the ecosystem adapts. So it's easier with more people changing the ecosystem than just one person. Oh, this is a great one. How can I tell if I'm actually burned out versus just depressed and tired? Fantastic question. Probably can't. Um, the Venn diagram of symptoms there is pretty high. True clinical depression, diagnostically significant depression, how we're going to diagnose, usually does have a time frame. Diagnostically, it's going to have lasted for a couple of months. But like, I don't know, 2025 was a long year. You could have been burned out for a couple of months, and rent is still due, and the world still sucks, and nobody is thriving unless you're a billionaire. So yeah, you very well could be burned out. How to tell is maybe less important as like what responses are available to you. Stress management and working through your depression is probably going to be, I'm going to say easier, but understand this is coming from a licensed mental health professional. Um, you have more options, I think, for treating depression. I'm not like dogmatic about this, but the thing that burnout requires to heal is rest. And so if rest is not soon to be on your horizon or not a real option for you, that's gonna be hard, and it's gonna be, I feel like I'm doing pretty well comparatively, all things considered. And like, man, I would love a sabbatical to write a book or to do some research or focus fully on any number of the like 4 projects I've got going on right now. But you know, so there's like that accumulation. I'm not burnt out, but that idea of like, yeah, we're tired because we're having to do stuff, and capitalism keeps grinding our bones up, and it's late stage, so it's really brutal. And yeah, certainly could be that, and that could be depression. Depression is, yeah, those symptoms are going to overlap. I was going to just sort of run down the diagnostics, but that's that nuance might require a person to work with you who is an expert on that, which would be a licensed professional. Certainly, I could go through the diagnostics with a client of mine, sort of work through the ins and outs of this and see where things land. Depression, in theory, is going to respond to treatment modalities in a way that burnout won't, just because burnout is going to require rest. But stress management and healthy boundaries and protecting some of your energy and being, trying to build that rest in as part of your regular schedule is going to be important. So I think, yeah. And again, like, it's not like depression is a snap your fingers, I've got better management and now it's fixed. So that's a really great question because it requires a great deal of nuance that I don't think I can answer in a YouTube video. But that is that you're questioning with that, you're wrestling that is great that you're noticing with that level of self-awareness. Probably time to work on that with a licensed professional. Um, I'm scared to rest because it feels like I'll never get back up. hmm Advice? Yeah. Read The Age of Overwhelm by Laura Vanderdoot Litsky. And um, yeah, rest is important. If the only thing keeping you going is that you refuse to rest, your body is going to collapse on you at some point. Whether that is your health failing to the point where you need to rest, whether that is some sort of breakdown, that is not a sustainable model. It's not healthy, but it's not long term sustainable. It might be short term sustainable. Again, I did a lot of unhealthy stuff to get through, you know, early times of my life, college, finals, and things. We pull out some unhealthy stuff that we can crank out in the short term. It has a cost. I'm not saying that is sustainable either, but there might be short term sustainability for some of that. This is a recipe for burnout. You don't need to earn it, and like, if you're that tired that you can't get back up, it's because accumulating energy output with not investing in yourself is making it impossible to get back up. The rest there isn't the issue. It's everything else going on is the issue. So it sounds like a total recalibration of where our energy is going and how we prioritize rest. You need food, water, shelter to survive. Water will probably kill you first if you don't have any, but sleep is not far behind. And so, yeah, not having enough rest is really bad for you. There's just a study that came out the other day that I read that was the best indicator of a shortened lifespan is not getting enough sleep. Just like across all demographics, various countries, different lifestyles, diet, exercise, all that stuff. The best indicator of shortened lifespan, not meeting your life expectancy, is not enough sleep. Get your rest. Rest is important. You do not need to earn it. Your body actually does require it to function at a minimum. So protect that. Be honest. Do y'all know me? I'm not lying to anybody. This is not a performance. Be honest. Is it healthy to just mute an entire group chat for the holidays? Hell yes. Now, honestly, my bias is I hate group chats. No, thank you. I would not like to participate in your group chat. Don't include me in the group chat. I'm not so special as to think that like I require my own separate dialogue with every person in my life. But if it's like, here's the details for this thing, great. Everybody hit your thumbs up emoji, and then like, let's be done. I usually muddy up the group chats that I'm forced to be a part of by sending obnoxious gifts and refusing to offer anything other than gifts. And because oftentimes the group chats that I'm in are intergenerational, People don't love that. And my gifts are like, it's not like internet pilled meme nonsense. It's just very much like I will only respond using Macho Man Randy Savage gifts, or I'm only going to send Big Lebowski or Monty Python gifts, or it's very much a me thing. I've gone weeks using pro wrestling gifts, nothing else. I can go real far with Arrested Development too. Pretty much anything that's ever been a hyper focus of mine, I can find. I sometimes have to make my own gifts because I know what I want to send, and it isn't available on whatever GIF keyboard comes on default. So I had to find somebody had a typo recently that said Ming instead of mind, and I had to find, this is such an obscure cut, a clip from Frisky Dingo, which is the show Adam Reed made before Archer. Like a lot of people, it's not like Archer is this cultural ubiquitous show where everyone knows, but I defined a character holding up a shirt that just says Ming, and then on the back it says he kept us out of war, and then on the other side of the shirt is Ming, because one of the characters accidentally cures global warming while trying to push the world to the sun. Frisky Dingo is, I just rewatched it recently, is why it was so relevant to me. But yeah, like I'm willing to go to that length of finding this video clip, downloading it, turning it into a GIF, and then sending it to somebody off of a typo because my brain went there. So yeah, group chats suck. I'm okay with a group chat that is focused on a logistical thing. Hey, we're meeting here at 7. Everybody thumbs up. Cool, we're all on the same page. That is good communication. I don't like group chats for much beyond that. So yeah, mute that. Get out of that. Or like become so toxic that it cannot continue. And I'm a licensed mental health professional. That is not normally advice that I give. You should be so toxic to end something. But that is how I feel about group chats. Is ghosting a holiday party a legitimate boundary, or am I being a gremlin? Look, I'm not. I'm a millennial, born in '88. Just classic millennial, smack dab, right? I'm not a fan of ghosting, and I grew up evangelical Lutheran and in the Midwest. So a lot of cultural things that required that I needed to make it okay to other people to say no to things, which is unnecessary. You can just say no. Your no is enough and requires no explanation. That's one of the holiday themed boundary affirmations I gave out at a recent event. And so yeah, just say no. Can't make it. Double booked that day. That's even like giving too much of it. Sorry, won't be able to make it. Enjoy your time. Emojis. Right? I don't know. I'm not a fan of ghosting because in theory, and I think in practicality, ghosting is not good communication. I understand why women in modern dating will ghost people because men are fucking creepy and don't pick up on things like saying a solid no. So is ghosting after saying no several times appropriate? Yeah, fine. I still think saying no clearly and definitively is helpful and is good communication. But I not going to things doesn't make you a gremlin. Not being cheerful isn't Grinchian. Shit's hard. The world's on fire. I don't know. You don't have to be cheerful if you don't want to be. How do therapists feel about Elf on the Shelf? Because I feel judged by a toy. Well, this therapist is not opposed or is not on board for anything that promotes the police state. And I think, I think, how do I feel about traditions? It's context based, right? I think for some people, the idea that you get a little gift and every day the elf has to run back up or magically fly or get picked up by a reindeer, and so he's moving somewhere different every day. That can be fun. I know there are kids who like Elf on the Shelf. I think the elf being Santa's CIA agent who spies on you and reports back is unhealthier than the other version. The whole Santa has a bunch of elves working for him. It's a little, I don't know. That's not great either. Like mythical fairy elves. They're full of whimsy and it's fun for everyone. Then I'm on board. Is it effort that we don't want to be putting in? Is it energy that is soul sucking? Then don't do it. Are we using it to police our kids' behavior? Then don't do it. It's not Big Brother's watching you. It's fun and whimsy. If it's fun and whimsy, I support. If it's laborious and we hate it, or it's promoting a police state, then I don't like it. I'm not a huge fan of surveillance. How do therapists writ large feel about it? I mean, running the spectrum on that. People putting their thoughts on the internet has made the world a better place. No, everybody getting to a platform where they can share their opinion on stuff has made the world a worse place. Um, a good therapist is going to answer most questions with some nuance. I will clip some of this probably to do YouTube shorts, and it's going to make me mad because it's never enough and it cuts off somewhere weird. I don't post a lot of reels because I can't answer something in under 30 seconds because most things require more nuance than that. Is it petty to bring my own food? Nope. I don't even need to finish this question. Is it petty to bring my own food? Nah. Nah. Food is a necessary thing to survive. Bring your own food. Is it petty to bring my own food to Christmas because I'm tired of listening to my family comment on my body? Oh, well, that went in a different direction than I thought. Is it petty? No. Bring your own food. Uh, Tell your family to fuck off. They shouldn't be making comments about your body. Um, I just assumed it was going to be like, I'm gluten intolerant. My family thinks that's like liberal. So, yeah, I don't know. I try, as I am a flawed human and I'm not perfect about it, I try to take dietary restrictions into account for people when we're hosting. And by and large, that is less work than people want to pretend that it is. And sometimes when you have a gathering of different people with different dietary restrictions, it does make some of the menu difficult. And so, yeah, sometimes that's nice. I have people who have some various intolerances, and they'll say, "Hey, I'm going to bring X, Y, Z." That's lovely. Yeah, great. Um, if I'm Midwestern, right? So when I'm hosting, I do want to host. I want to have something for everyone, and not just like, oh, you're vegan, so you can only eat the side salad. Like I do want a meal option for everyone. And does that mean I want different muffins or cookies or desserts? Like, no, sometimes it's nice if somebody can bring something like that. But like I grew up on like that potluck stuff. So I'm used to people bringing stuff. I don't know. Bring your own stuff. But because there's body shaming or bullshit diet culture nonsense, like, yeah, fuck all that noise. Fuel your body the way that you need to. How do I stop feeling responsible for everyone's mood at gatherings? I would love to just say, like, don't stop doing that. Right? Your question is obviously hinting at that already. Um, so this is probably preaching to the choir a little bit, but you are not responsible for anyone else's emotions. They are. Now, no one is in control of our emotions in the sense that emotions are things we experience. They happen to us, they are stimuli that we experience. But how people manage and navigate their emotions is up to them, not up to you. And so it doesn't really matter if you feel responsible or not. The reality is you aren't, and you can't do anything about it. You can't fix or shape or change or grow or distract or whatever other people's emotions. You can be helpful in that. I'm not unaware. I'm not some rugged individualist libertarian. Like, community matters, and we do need to have space to work through things in our relationships. Boundaries are not just this person makes me uncomfortable one time, so I'm writing them off forever. Boundaries are like, these boundaries exist so that we can have a functional relationship that is healthy and sustainable with these boundaries in place. So, you know, If you're having to play mediator all the time, like that speaks to other work that other people need to be doing. If you are helping somebody enforce their own boundary, if you are supporting somebody who's working through stuff, if you are like, again, is it sustainable? Is it healthy? Or is it, enabling unhealthy behaviors from other participants in this interaction? Um, but certainly not everyone's mood, right? Jeez, Pete's. Don't do that. Don't go and then watch it all fall apart, or like take note of who else does the work and the labor without you there. But sometimes it's a bummer, right? Like sometimes friend groups fall apart when the person who navigates everything and manages everything doesn't do the work. Like that's not because it's not a healthy friend group then, right? So how do I stop feeling responsible? Acknowledge first of all that like you're not that powerful, and that that's unfair expectations and labor that other people are putting on you, and just don't do it. How do you stop feeling that? Like figure out, yeah, what do you need to do? Be responsible for your emotions. I'm feeling guilty. I'm feeling shame. I'm feeling tugged in this direction that isn't vibed with my ethics or doesn't isn't backed by any sort of evidence that it works or helps. Like, yes, use your whole brain to make this decision. Set some intentions. Use your wise, full mind. I get emotionally hungover after seeing family. Is that a thing? 100%. Big time. Family can be a lot. Holidays can be a lot. Lots of old and new stimuli all at the same time can be a lot. Different time zones, travel, shifting our schedule, shifting our regular energy flow from diet to exercise to who gets our energy and who is building us back up. Like, yeah, I mean, there's a ton about holiday gatherings just logistically that will tax your body without getting into the emotional hangover. Um, and oftentimes we're gonna hold some of that stress in our body. And so then when we're back safe or stable wherever we're that feels like into our normal routine, we'll often exhale. And that physical exhale is going to be, yeah, like that emotional exhale is often somatic. And so that's going to be in your body, and that, yeah, might be tired, nauseous, pain, tension, whatever. um I'm 37, so I'm not like an old ancient curmudgeon, but like I'm more inclined to leave a day early and have a reset when I get back home, or to have a day to recalibrate, or go and to do a float, or be in my local woods that I'm comfortable with, or whatever. I'm more inclined to do a shorter trip and invest in myself so I can hit the ground running again instead of carrying it into the school week. But my work week is relatively well managed. Um, but it's more of like, yeah, the school day and getting my kids out of the house on time and not, projecting anything onto them. So that investment is really motivated for me, to show up the way that I want as a parent. And yeah, I don't know. It's it's not for everyone, but I'm a fan. It's worked really well for me. A lot of my clients over the years benefit from leave a day early to rest and recalibrate, plan for that emotional hangover. Um, why does guilt feel like truth even when I know better? It's a fun question. There's a vagueness to it that I appreciate. Why does guilt feel like truth even when I know better? I'm feeding off of the previous question here a little bit, but like assuming this is in a family gathering setting, assuming this is we're tired, we're exhausted, we've traveled, we're out of our normal routine, we're sleeping on an uncomfortable bed, we're staying up late, celebrating with people, we're drinking and imbibing with various substances. Um, we're under resourced, right? A lot of these family gatherings are predicated on being under resourced, and it's easier for people to manipulate your emotions when you're under resourced. It's more difficult to enforce your boundaries. It's more difficult to invest time and energy into yourself and your own stress management when you're not on your home playing field. So yeah, when we're under resourced, it is easier for other people to manipulate our emotions. That's why churches and cults and organized religions do 24-hour pray-ins, and they limit our sleep and we stay up late and whatever. Like it's easier to to manipulate your emotions when we're under resourced. It's not more true. Again, like I love having that sounding board, whether that is a decision making tree or a thought process that we put a lot of time and energy into ahead of time so we can refer back to it, or it is a sounding board of a support system, a person or a group of people we talk to run things by, to remind us of things, to encourage us when we are feeling under resourced. Those are good ways to respond to that guilt. Is it possible? Ask question. Is it possible to create new rituals as an adult without feeling like a fraud? Aw, little baby pagan. No, when I left religion, I was pretty salty towards anything that felt ritualistic. And that was misinformed on my part, right? Like, religion didn't create ritual practice, religion didn't create traditions. Religion uses those things because they are effective ways to control people. Um, and that's not it's malicious in the case of organized religions. Doesn't say most of the time, but I think I'll just leave it. Um, Ritual in and of themselves are not manipulative or bad or wrong. But as we experience some of these things, as we have a mind body practice, when we experience something both physically and intellectually, when we experience it in our thoughts and our emotions and our body all at the same time, it can be uncomfortable, or it can feel a little forced, right? Like we're paying attention to, is everyone having a good time? Is the playlist working the way we want? Is that smoke going too high? Is whatever, right? Like there's all these things that we could be more focused on or worried. I think there is I find in my personal experience, my lived experience, a lot of my clients, there's like a playfulness we sort of have to engage in. We don't grow out of it, we just quit practicing it. And so there is some play. It might not be imagination outright, but like an acting as if, a pretending, and I don't think ritual is all those things, but I think that's sometimes how it feels for those of us who maybe are new to it, or those of us whose brains move very quickly, and so we're just hyper aware of a lot of stuff. I think the more you practice it, the more you play around with it, the more you engage in ritual, the more you engage in play, the better you get at it. But you might feel like a fraud. It might feel awkward or uncomfortable. I think there's a difference between discomfort and like something being bad or wrong. Am I uncomfortable or am I in crisis? Are very different things that I think oftentimes our brains, as just an organ, get wrong. And so sort of sifting through that. But genuinely, I would say it's a skill and you can practice it. If I wanted you to write with your offhand or shoot free throws with your offhand, you would need to practice that. And the more you practice it, you would get better at it, even if it's still uncomfortable or you prefer to use your dominant hands. Like, yeah, that's what that's the way that skill-based things work. And I think engaging in ritual is a skill-based thing. You can get better at it the more you practice it. But again, I mean, there's some performance sometimes involved in ritual. As somebody who's neurodivergent, that doesn't always feel super comfortable with me. I'm an introvert, so depending on who I'm around, it doesn't always feel comfortable for me. So there's lots of reasons why you might pull out, but I do think it's worthwhile to invest some time and energy and play and exploration and inquisitiveness, curiosity around what might be more comfortable for you. Um, we had to have a funeral for our praying mantis earlier this year, and I felt sort of uncomfortable being like, I think I'm going to read some poetry, but like I did from one of my favorite authors, a poet, Jared Anderson. He's been on the podcast before, friend of the pod, Jared Anderson. I read some of his works at a funeral for praying mantis, and it was really just lovely. Honestly, it's really nice, and I think my voice handled the loss of a pet really well, and I think I healed, having some shame from like how my family shamed me when I lost a pet when I was a little kid, and my family is just deeply uncomfortable with emotion. So any emotion anyone showed was a thing to be laughed at, and so it was really healing for me. It was healthy for my children, and my wife responded well to it. I think she's healthy too. And she didn't even like the praying mantis. She's least fond of the bug being in the house. And and so I bring that up not to be like do what I do, just to say that like I've come a long way in my own sort of approach to it, my own practice, where I had a tiny sort of twinge of like, ooh, that's corny. And then it's like, no, that's nice, that's helpful, that could be good, that could be useful. And it was. And so, again, I think playing around with ritual, I think playing around, understanding that meaning making is arbitrary, that it is something we can make. We make our own meaning, can almost like paradoxically take some of the meaning away from it. But like we can put that back in. Meaning making can be a creative process. And so you can co-create that with other people. You can create that yourself. I think co-creating is great. It's really lovely. And but yeah, the more you practice it, the more you engage with ritual, the better you're going to get at it, the more comfortable you're going to feel with it. So it is a thing to do and experience, right? It's experiential. So if you do something you don't like it, change it, do something different. If you like some of it and not all of it, like, yeah, let's learn from that. It's a learning process. It's skill based in the sense that the more you practice it, you get better at it, not just on straight repetitions, but that we learn from each repetition. Oh, that felt good, let's do it again. That's what I want to keep doing in the future. That one was a little off, we need to change something. So being open to that practice being a feedback process. Love that. I love this stuff. Question and answer episodes are always fun. If you have questions or a topic you want me to talk about, please, if you're on YouTube, drop down in the comments, let me know. If you're listening to the pod, I have all my stuff linked, so you can contact me from various different places and let me know. If there's ever Q&A that you're like, hey, Q&A with this person, returning guests, new guests. I like co-creating. I just said that. So yeah, engage with me. Um, I said that in a funny voice because I feel bad being like and subscribe, engage with the content, because that helps people find me. Because I would love to live in a society where we didn't have to do that, but we do. So engage with me. The end of the year is coming up. We will have a few more solo episodes, most likely because of how and when I have time to record and the energy it takes to schedule guests. And we'll be back with more new episodes. We'll be back next week with another new episode. We'll be back in the new year with our regularly scheduled chat with other cool humans and how they navigate their mental wellness. Until then, take care of yourself, take care of somebody else. Peace.